Water level measurement in nuclear reactors. Part 2. The nuclear accident at Fukushima. Bad water level measurement. The nuclear accident at Fukushima. This is the tsunami wave. This is the nuclear plant at Fukushima. This is the turbine building and this is the reactor building. The tsunami wave arrived at 5 meters above ground level. Flooded the turbine building where the backup diesel generator and batteries were located, but did not enter the reinforced reactor building. The accident at Fukushima was caused by the earthquake that occurred at 1446 March 11, 2011. This earthquake generated a tsunami which hit the plant at 15:30, that is 3:30 p.m. This time difference of 44 minutes provided a time window during which electricity was still available. An even larger, approximately 3-hour time window existed between the earthquake at 1446 and the cooling water in the reactor dropping to the top of the fuel rods at 18 hours. If these windows were used to flood the reactors automatically with cooling water and the backup pump driven by decay steam were automatically started, the meltdown would have been prevented. Request: it is hoped that this session is going to be useful to you. Please press like. Please subscribe. This is the normal sea level. The height of the tsunami was 15 meters above normal sea level, or about 5 meters above ground level. Therefore, the basement of the turbine building flooded. In contrast, the reactor building was strong enough to withstand the seawater invasion because it was designed to prevent the escape of radioactivity even under such conditions. The reactors themselves were automatically scrammed by the reactor trip interlocks as soon as the earthquake was detected. But while the reactors did shut down, this reduced the heat release of the fuel rods only to the level of 5% decay heat. The steam generated by this decay heat would have been enough to drive the main cooling water pumps, but the plant was not designed for that. The Fukushima plant was not designed to safely shut down under conditions of simultaneous internal and external electricity supplies. Therefore, shortly after the external grid electricity supply failed, the internal backup systems consisting of batteries and diesel generators also failed, and therefore the cooling water pumps stopped. In the plant, the main backup of the electric power supply was emergency diesel generators, which were located in the basement of the turbine building, and they failed because of flooding. For the case when both the grid and the DC power supplies failed, batteries were provided to take over for a few hours, but they too failed because of the flooding. Therefore, the 6 reactor units at Fukushima battery power was lost in units 1, 2 and 4. The left side of this figure shows the level of the cooling water in the reactor, and the right side shows the reactor temperature for a period of the first 3 days after the accident. This is the same graph but little bigger in size. As shown in figure in next slide, level was detected by measuring the weight of the water column in the reactor by a differential pressure gauge. The water level detection configuration used at Fukushima. This is the condensate pot and this is the reference leg. Both are in the primary containment zone. A schematic illustration of the water level detection configuration used at Fukushima, which provided the false readings. This occurred because the condensate pot and the reference leg were inside the primary containment, and as the temperature increased, there the water boiled off, causing the gauge to drastically over-report the level. Bad water level measurement. It is essential to keep the fuel rods covered with cooling water so that they will be protected from overheating and melting. The accurate knowledge of the level of cooling water both inside and outside the core is essential. At around 16 hours, the cooling water pumps stopped. At that time, the cooling water level in Unit 1 reactor was some 4 meters above the top of the fuel rods. By 21 hours, it dropped some 8 meters, thereby fully uncovering the fuel rods. This is 300 degrees centigrade and this is 3000 degree centigrade. During that same time period, the core temperature increased from about 300 degrees centigrade to nearly 3000 degrees centigrade, and by the morning of 12 March, the reactor core melted, dropped to the bottom of the reactor vessel and probably leaked through it. Part of the reason for inaction between 4 and 9 pm was that either the operators did not know what the water level was, or the badly designed detectors provided them with false information. Actually, even this unreliable level measurement was probably unavailable until 21 hours 19 minutes when the power supply in the control room was finally restored by the use of portable batteries. This is the top of active fuel and this is bottom of active fuel. Even when power was restored, the cooling water level indicated in the control room was false, as it probably indicated that the water level in the reactor was above the fuel rods, while it was way below. As was shown in attached figure, the level actually dropped to the top of the rods by 18 hours and to their bottom by 1930 hours. This is the dry well. This drastic error in the level measurement probably occurred because the condensate pot and the reference leg of the level gauge were located inside the dry well, where the temperature was rising and the reference water column was boiling off. This gauge on the high pressure side was connected to the steam region through an uninsulated condensate pot, which would contain the condensate of the steam because pot is at ambient temperature. The level was measured by comparing the weight of this reference column to the pressure at the bottom of the reactor, which was connected to the low pressure side of the differential pressure cell. With this reverse configuration, as the level inside the reactor decreased, the detected differential pressure should have increased. As was explained in detail in an earlier lecture, this design was wrong. In case of the Fukushima accident, the water evaporated from the reference leg because the temperature rise was high enough in the dry well to boil it off, and this resulted in drastic over-reporting of the water level. Although the operators knew, because of the earlier smaller accidents were also caused by the false level readings, that differential pressure level measurement cannot be trusted. They had nothing else to go on, so they proceeded to depend on this false level reading, which reported that the fuel rods are covered. Request: it is hoped that this session is going to be useful to you. Please press like. Please subscribe.